Well, let's update you now on today's proceedings at the State Capture Inquiry. Former chairperson of the Portfolio Committee on Public Enterprises, Zukiswa Ranto, revealed she received threats and was intimidated for pushing through with a probe into Eskom at Parliament. Now, she says there were members of the governing party who were against that inquiry. Reporter Michael Apple has been keeping a close watch on proceedings. He joins us now. Hello, Michael. So, Ms. Ranto really was in a difficult position. She explained how tough it was, tasked with keeping an eye on what was going on in public enterprises, but at the same time, some members of her own party, the ANC, not always happy when she asked probing questions, when she wanted to support that inquiry into Eskom.
Yes, a difficult position if one wanted to carry out your duty as a public office bearer, if you wanted to actually hold members of the executive to account. It was a difficult job to do if you were within the ANC caucus. And Zukiswa Ranto spoke about this, saying that there seems to be been a bit of a shift leading up to the 2017 Nasrec conference, where Jacob Zuma in 2016 was looming large. He was a head of state, very much in power. And then 2017, we know that there's this election at Nasrec, and that's where people start to jostle for power. And all of a sudden, you can change your posture in the ANC caucus. So in 2016, when the Democratic Alliance asks for a commission of inquiry, asks for a parliamentary inquiry, or at least an ad hoc committee to be set up to look into Eskom, they are ignored, the motion is completely denied. But then all of a sudden the Commission decides in 2017, oh, wait, these allegations of the Guptas exercising control over the head of state and being influential in appointing ministers, those are pretty serious allegations. We should probably look into those. It's something, this delay between the Democratic Alliance saying for years it's been in the public domain, why are you not investigating, stop blocking it? And then all of a sudden in 2017, a light bulb goes on within the ANC caucus and they go, all right, as the Public Enterprises Portfolio Committee, let's start investigating. And this delay is what the Deputy Chief Justice picks up on.
The committee itself took a decision on its own to do the probing.
That was about close to a year later, but that was close to a year later.
Yes, Chairperson.
And I'm concerned about how much of taxpayers' money that I've been told has been looted, allegedly looted by the Guptas and their associates, would have been saved had your committee and had the National Assembly acted a year earlier than your committee did.
And also today, following yesterday's testimony from Natasha Mazzoni of the DA, another DA member giving evidence today, James Self, and he spoke about facilities management company Bosasa.
Yes, so what the inquiry is doing this week is having a look at how it was possible for things to get as bad as it did in the country. And that is looking at the oversight mechanisms of Parliament. So they brought in somebody else. He's a politician of 40 years' experience, greatly experienced in the workings of Parliament. James Self is a very senior DA member, and he was sitting in the Correctional Services Portfolio Committee in about 2008, when he says, all right, we need to have an inquiry into what's going on between correctional services and Bosasa. And, I mean, it's almost a mirror image here between the Guptas and what's going on at Eskom and at Prosa. And here you have Bosasa and a member from the DA saying, listen, something, at least on the face of it, which is being reported in the Mail and Guardian, is going on between correctional services and Bosasa. We need to investigate that. It is completely ignored. It's pushed aside for over a decade. That SIU report that came out in 2009 got buried, allegedly, according to Angelo Agrizzi, by Nonqobo Jiba at the NPA for a decade, up until 2019, when all of a sudden the NPA decides to act. So those arrests of Angelo Agrizzi, Linda Mti, Patrick Gillingham, those are all based on a 2009 SIU report, which James Self says he raised in Parliament and said, we need to act. Of course, nothing happened. Listen in.
Well, one would have assumed at the time that the NPA was doing its work, one would have assumed that the department would have taken note of those very serious allegations. But what happened is that in due course, the contract was renewed and extended until very recently, without any apparent consequence for anybody in either DCS or the SARSA group of companies.
Well, thank you very much for updating us on what's been happening at the State Capture Commission.